Right. And actually, I just want to follow up. I think we need to all keep supporting the flood. We need to buy the bags with the chucky eggs in. We need to make sure that we are writing, doing the letters, taking action, buying the sweets. Nobody fill in for the sock puppet, because I really want that. and actually, we need to make sure we get Alice overseas. Is it Alice? Alice overseas, just saying. It's interesting, like, I had an idea 2 years ago. I've worked around gender equality for 9 years, predominantly in London, even though prior to that, all of my working career had been in the northwest of England. So I had 8 years in the Royal Navy prior to that. That was my adventure. So I did Aintree Racecourse, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, the new arena in Liverpool, Southport Theatre, and then I went down to work for the Olympics. And I got involved in gender equality, sort of by mistake, really. I think maybe I was working down in London, there was lots of things going on, and I'm a serial interferer, can't help but kind of get involved with something. And I had the idea, I know when I had the idea, I was on that forever train down to London on the Virgin West Coast main line with really bad Wi-Fi and not being able to tweet, but it's okay. And I had the idea, there was a big event taking part in Liverpool back in 2014, the International Festival for Business. And I was involved in quite a lot of stuff at the time in London around gender equality. And people had always gone, Simone, what are you going to do up north? Are you going to do something? I went, no, there's loads of brilliant things happening. There's loads of great initiatives, great networks, and I just didn't feel the need to reinvent a wheel because, you know, there's already great stuff going on. And then I saw this festival happening, and I could see it becoming sort of male and grey-suited and, you know, men of a certain age, and I felt like that's always getting overpowered by, and I thought, how can you have an international festival for business if we're not going to talk about equality? You know, why would you not? So I lobbied in my resilient way and tenacious way that I did, and in the end I created my own event in Liverpool, and it was a complete sellout. There was just short of 200 people. I couldn't get any more people in the venue, and I brought all of the people that I'd sort of worked with over the years. So I had ministers there and the grown-ups and presidents and goodness knows wherever from, you know, great business leaders and I really hoped that this event wasn't going to be needed. And it was just a brilliant day. I'm always for things, a bit like you guys bring energy wherever you go. You can feel it. As soon as I arrived this morning and I met the wonderful Rachel, and the equally wonderful Julie. But there was something about that day, you know, we're all super busy. We all have super busy calendars and diaries, and I didn't really have a thought to do something unless it was needed. But there were 3 things that happened out of that day. And one was a young woman who had put a hand up during one of the speakers, and she was so motivated by the speaker that she went, I want to come and work for you. And my speaker jumped off the stage, health and safety was all good, ran to her, gave her a business card and went, come and shadow me, come and have a look and see what I do. If you like, you know, if you can tolerate me for a day, I think was what she was saying. Anyway, she went off and she shadowed her, and 2 months later she set her own business up. And then I had another young woman who I'd gone to college with, young, see what I did there? And she said to me, Simone, you know, that event changed my life. And I was like, what? That's a bit full on. Why would you say that? And she went, my kids are older. I want to do more. But I actually thought until that day that I would be doing this job till I was 65. And I was like, oh, nobody works like that anymore. You know, we're all doing different things and whatever. And she just hadn't seen it. And it had just taken that kind of gathering and the conversations that we're having on and off stage to kind of just make her think differently. And she went away, and the following week she called me and said, Simone, can you help me get a mentor? And I went, yeah, what do you need? She went, I've got a job interview next week. I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? I've created a monster, you know, she's trying to be great. And she went off to the job interview, and she didn't get it. It was an internal role. And she called me, and she was like buzzing. And I'm like, you're buzzing, you didn't get that. She was, I know, but I asked for feedback, and I just feel like there's more out there that I can do, I can get involved with, that I just didn't realise that was there. You know, I wanted to do volunteering, I wanted to do this, but I was just so unhappy in my job, I just didn't think I could do this. So what she did is sort of following sort of this conversation and this going for the job, she ended up restructuring her role. She had a conversation with her boss, and she just went, you know. Then she got mentors for the young, and it was young women behind her, because she knew she was blocking their way, and she just was like, you know, I don't want them to go through and, you know, progress in this business and be miserable. So anyway, she ended up, and then I spoke to her I think about a month later, and she was like, you know, I've restructured my role, my team are happy, they're performing, and we've just won an award. Not as big as that one I saw before, but and it was just like, and I thought, wow, it was just sort of this thing that had happened from that one day. And the final thing that happened was that I was at an event down in London, and I had this guy came up to me and he went, "Oh, Simone, the problem with women is," and you're like, "Oh my goodness, this conversation is never going to end well, when it starts like that." And I went, "Well, why do you?" "Well, they get pregnant and they have babies and you can't really recruit or promote them." And I just thought, this was a room full of journalists. This was somebody who was an executive chairman of a large, in fact, huge northern business. I'd love to tell you about it. Maybe a few Prosecco's. No, it's fine. It was great lunch, that was brilliant. It was kind of that realisation that I'm quite, a bit of a, just get on and, I'd never really sort of had this thought. I didn't realise people said that out loud, but what it came to me was that actually he would never listen to me, Actually, he would listen to the front row and he would listen to kind of male leaders, but actually he would never listen to the majority of this room. And that's really, really wrong. But it's happened and it's fact. And I think that the statistic right now is that best case it's 70 years before we get to gender parity. But that's not going to happen. Because the idea I had was, as much as all the stuff I was involved with in London, there are 1,500 networks for women in London. And for me, nothing's happening quickly enough. Some great things happening. But what I know is that up here, across our northern powerhouse and our northern regions, we get stuff done. So my idea after doing that event and gathering this energy and, and I'm sure you have that when you get together, and it's like, what are we going to do now? What's the action we're going to take for change and stuff like that? I thought, well, I wonder what I can do. If that's, those 3 stories I've highlighted were just 3 things. There must have been another, 24 sort of, whether they be emails, tweets, or whatever that came out, that things were happening. And I just thought, well, what can I do to kind of stoke that? And that's where Northern Power Women came from. I just thought, I know there's brilliant things happening. I was highlighted, wasn't even just, I've heard this, this afternoon, but I just thought, what about if we start really yelling about what's going on? What about if we really start showcasing and celebrating the fantastic role models that we've got across the north of England? And so based on sort of the event I'd done, I created a conference and I thought, I'm going to call it Ready for Change. That's what, it was election year in 2015. I thought, I'm going to get the politicians there, because that will bring the business leaders, and that's what's going to help me shift the change, And I called it Ready for Change, and I used the hashtag Northern Power Women. And the first tweet I put out, it was the hashtag that went crazy. People love the Northern Power Women. But it was interesting, because I'd chosen the name Ready for Change because I didn't want to exclude men from the conversation. I wanted this to be involved and engaged, and for men to be part of this, or to be part and take responsibility and, drive the solution. But it was a friend of mine after about sort of 6 weeks, but said, you've got 2 brands here, there's a real, you can see what's happened just in this short time on social media, I do like my social media. And so I changed it. I changed it to Northern Power Women, and the minute I changed it, it was the minute that it became a campaign. It was the minute that it just became sort of self-driving, self-perpetuating on Twitter, and people wanting to be really proud and shout about what they've done. And I think the key wasn't about adding women to it, and I think that was obviously part of it. I think the key was the northern. And that is absolutely what I found over, so it's 2 years. So I created a big conference, I had 300 odd people there. And then what I did to sort of follow that, because I thought, I don't want to just be for Christmas, and for life. What can we do to really start sort of shouting about that? I was working with the Government Equalities Office down in Whitehall, working with the Women's Business Council, and they were just like, you know what, we want to know more. We are so London-centric on our whole approach to what we're, and not from a patronising perspective. They're just starting to see just some of the small stories and some of the small anecdotes, but what they were seeing was that impact, whether it would be on socio-economic climate, or whether it be the economy, or whether it just be about the whole quality of life. And of course, we've all seen over the news the last 3 years, the whole Northern Powerhouse agenda, and obviously every picture we see is very much white, male, pale, suited kind of agenda. And I thought, what can we do to shift that? So I created an awards a year ago, And my whole kind of premise around Northern Power Women, events is what I do, the gathering of people and seeing what sparks and what magic can happen when you bring people together. I'm sure you get that, you'll have that today. You'll be trained out next week, you know. But it's what happens when that happens. You know, what happens when you bring amazing people together. So we created the awards last year, and for me, I opened them to men. Half of the awards were open to men. Because I didn't want to be guilty of creating a girls' club either. And I wanted, because this is, for me, about driving it from a business agenda, I wanted to use those business leaders to help me shift this. So I created the awards, and we had 440 people a year ago at these awards, and we had 9 different awards. And then the key for me was creating a power list of amazing, really great leaders and influencers, because I don't think you can have one woman of the year. I couldn't see that happen, so I thought I'll create 50 of them. And then what was really, really important to me was how are we really celebrating and showcasing all of our talent, not just the grown-ups and the leaders. So we created a future list. And again, all of this was nominated. This wasn't about me just picking and go, like them, don't like them, like their sweets, like that sock puppets. It was about really kind of, I don't think you can create a brand like Northern Power Women and then not be loud and boisterous about it. So that was why I wanted 50 power women, 50 futurists. And then the whole ethos was, because there is only me, I have tons of energy, but there is only me. I thought, but how can I get these great women out there as advocates? And out there, whether they're writing, whether they're speaking, whether they're mentoring. And so that's what it is. It's what I would call an advocacy model. I'm just driving the bus or the train or whether that may be, and gathering role models. That's what Northern Power Women is. It's not about, for me, it's not a membership or a network or something like that. It's a community. And in 2 years, just purely through social media, it's at 10,000. And it's become that almost self-supporting, cheerleading, showcasing, and that real pride to showcase what Northern role models are. We just done a piece of research from August right up until just now, just finished a pilot, where we interviewed a sample of 43 female leaders in the north of England and 20 male leaders, and just trying to look at what the differences are that are coming out and where those potential barriers are. But the one thing that is that, and one of the big things is around the support, those women who've had those kick-ass mentors, if you like, those women who've had that has just given someone that elevate up. That's what you guys are doing every day. You can see that, you can feel that, you know? And that's what I suppose I'm trying to do here, is to connect these women either through mentorship, through reverse mentoring, giving the women platforms. So we have a conference I've created. I don't know if any of you are familiar with TED Talks. Mm-hmm. So I'm a TEDx licensee. I do TEDx Whitehall Women in London, ironically. Been doing that for 4 years. So I'm creating this year something called NPWX. So whilst I can tackle my conferences and do talk about business and leadership, the NPWX is a platform for all. So anybody who's got a story, who's got a message, who's got a performance, I want to be able to demonstrate that the North truly has talent. And that is what it's about. My favourite saying is that you can't be what you can't see. And that really is the essence of Northern Power Women, is actually being able to, how do we shift and transform that culture of business by recognising, celebrating and showcasing role models. You know, I said there's only me. I kind of do quite a lot of partnership stuff and quite a lot of I'm a serial collaborator. You know, so people want to do stuff, then we just join together and we make this happen. So I look and I'm very proud of what we've achieved in 2 years. We've just joined up partnerships with Manchester Met Business School and also with Lancaster Business School. The Lancaster will be around some international work. Also partnered up with a global youth organisation of changemakers called World Merit. So last year I partnered and went out and volunteered and did 10 days out in New York or in a camp outside of New York. And then we put together an event at the UN, whereby we gave these 360 changemakers from 86 different countries across the world, but we gave them a platform to talk about the Sustainable Development Goals with the UN. And again, just another, so it's interesting that it's a Northern Power Women, but it's now got this international reach. So coming this year, it's very much, we're just piloting a reverse mentoring program, which Maya, who incidentally, when I had the awards last week, the second awards, 520 people in a room, and Maya is now has been added to our future list. And and that's what it's about. Keep celebrating, keep sharing those fantastic, amazing and exceptional role models. What I really want to see is when we open the nominations in September, if I don't see Girlguiding represented or connected in there, then I will come and find you. So for me, it's a case of, this isn't a case of who's going to let me, it's really who's going to stop me. Thank you so much for your time.